Welcome you lovely, lovely people. This is new, this is a bit of a novelty, isn't it? Welcome to Manor Park Classics South, or Barron's Auctions, as you may know them. Barron's, if you've been around the classic car game for a while, you'll know Barron's was started in 1998. You may have been to some of their fabulous sales in Sandown Park. I know a lot of you have. They're now part of the Manor Park Classics family, and we're very, very happy to have them. I will be coming down to every sale. I'll be doing my normal walk around video to every sale. It's all new, it's new to me. Different iPad, different camera, so do bear with me, I'll do my very best. If it's not to my normal standard, please forgive me. We're on a learning curve as we start here. But let's start with this. You know I love an old Jaguar. I do have a couple of old Jaguars myself. I think it's a fantastic way to get to work. What about this? Come and have a look at this 2007 Jaguar Sovereign, 2.7, 128,000 miles on this one. Really nice body, engine's good, transmission's good. What we do here at Barron's as well, if you want to look on the website, is the team have actually they've scored each of the criteria for the car. So it's got both cam belts have been changed, it's got the original book pack, 9 service stamps in there, and the MOT and the history say that it's 128, so that is pretty much a verified mileage. So what's it like? It's decent, it's tidy. If you're a perfectionist, you could go in, maybe recolonize and paint the leather, do a little bit on the bodywork. The alloys are decent. I would say probably a Sunday or two of really fine detailing, you could make this car very, very nice. But it's not going to be a huge amount of money. It's only guided at 2 to 3. Now we've sold these in the north, we've sold a lot of these in the north, and they have gone for stellar money, absolutely huge amounts of money. These all aluminium 350s are a very nice car. They ride beautifully, they drive beautifully. They really were the zenith of this shape, the classic shape of XJ. I like them a lot. You can see it's just got where you've had a little bit of scratching. So there's things to do, there's value to add. You can see where either that's been TFR that's done that, I would imagine. So some you'll be able to polish up, or just have it as a nice price range Jag. I can't think of a much better way for 2 to 3 grand to waft about. And being the 2.7, it's not crazy money. Now here's a rarity, come and look at this. Lot 119. Now you might be thinking there's an XJ that someone's put a vinyl roof on. They haven't, you know. They've actually chopped the roof off, believe it or not. 1985 Jaguar XJ6 Convertible. You heard me right. It is a 4-door convertible. Now, if you're running a wedding hire company at the moment, you're getting very excited, aren't you? Because you know, with brides, when the top comes down, the price goes up. If you can imagine what a 1985 Jaguar smells like, if you've ever had one, this has that smell, that exact smell. And can you see as well? Manual gearbox. Body's very good. I haven't driven this, the team has, and they tell me it's actually rather nice because you've obviously got all of the B-pillars in, all of the main roof structure. It's actually quite stiff, surprisingly stiff actually. 40 years old, was converted in 1990 to a Cabriolet. There's an invoice for the convertible version in there. It's had thousands spent on it over the years to a really high standard, loads of MOTs, loads of documents. I think you'd probably be the only one. If you turned up at a car show, you'd be the only one with a convertible XJ. I rather like that. It's guided at 20 to 24. I don't think you'll find another one for sale. And I would say, come and have a look. Come and satisfy yourself. The paint is really quite decent, actually. It's a bit of fun, isn't it? A bit of fun. And like I say, guarantee no one else has got one. But do have a look. The history file on that car is exceptional. A lot of money has been spent, and it's all been recorded. Moving on to a car, one of the finest cars I think in the world. Dictator spec, well, poor dictator spec because it's only a 280. So S-Class of course was always the benchmark that defines Mercedes. It was the flagship car. Everybody wanted to build a big executive saloon to this standard. This is an interesting car because it's a 280, so it's going to be cheaper to run. It's a 1979. I see a few imperfections, which I really don't mind because it's going to make it cheaper. A few dents in the bonnet, a few little bits of paint imperfection there as well. The car's done 104,000 miles, but it's only had 2 owners from new. So it's not perfect on the paint, but it's very honest, and everything that you will need to do, which is all very low level stuff, is very visible. Original chrome bumper styling kit, and the previous vendor bought the car in 2023 where it had been dry stored. It's been fully recommissioned. But this has done 104,000 miles since 1979. 10 Mercedes main dealer stamps in the book, and a service invoice before being dry stored at a cost of £2.5 grand. Previous service carried out in January 2023. Why I like this, not only because it's a smaller engine so it won't absolutely bust you to run, we've guided this at 4.5 to 5.5 grand, so it's not expensive for a 70s S-Class. Top of this market is a lot more than that. Again, it's a bit like the 350 we looked at the beginning. A car that's nice, it's presentable, it's a good 10-yarder, really nice where it matters. It's not rotten on the arches at all, actually. And you can add value. You can buy it for sensible amounts of money, you can spend weekends on it, have some fun with it. What's really funny about this car, despite the fact it is an S-Class, ULEZ exempt, MOT exempt, everything exempt. If you buy this, drive it into your favourite major city, where you will pay very little to get into it. A lot of fun, as I say, 43 to 5.5 we've guided that at. And that could be rather nice. I do have a soft spot for an S-Class. Now moving on to this, may I say, have a huge soft spot for DB7 as well. I had the pleasure, here's me name dropping, listen to the clang as I drop it, of having an evening with Ian Callum CBE, the designer of this magnificence you see before you, at the British Motor Museum last week. First of all, what a nice guy. What a knowledgeable chap as well. And the story of the DB7 is very interesting. If you don't know, it was meant to be a Jaguar. Of course, underneath it is a Jaguar. It's very much an XJS, but Ian and his team made it look impossibly pretty. Now, these are a car I've always wanted to own, but being slightly honest about it, they're not always the best cars to buy second hand. They're not always in the greatest shape. There's rust to deal with, there's problems to deal with. This is, without doubt, this is the best one I have seen for lots of reasons. Number one, the mileage is 17,960. That's guaranteed, that's the real mileage. Number two, the colour. Can you think of a better colour for a DB7? Number three, the gearbox. This is a manual car, which adds a huge amount to the value. Aerodisc wheels you either love or you hate. I am very much in the love camp. I think they are beautiful detail. They're immaculate. And this is a concours winning car. This has got all sorts of trophies to its name. It's known within the club. It is exceptional. Duo hide interior. If you can come round and have a look inside, or if the window's open, have a look in there. So ordered in 95, transferred to another family in 2012, so one former keeper. They only made 500 manuals. That's all they made. I think, I mean, you're going to pay a good chunk for this because of what it is. I think somewhere in the 30s, maybe 33 to 38 is what we've estimated it at. I think it's worth every penny of that. Even the front, where you'd normally get all the chips on the front, it doesn't have them. If you're seriously considering a DB7, because don't forget, a snotty one, and I do mean a snotty one, is somewhere between 15 and 18. 20 is where the okay, nicest cars start. So spend a little bit more for the ridiculously low mileage and the manual gearbox and the best colour, I think, for that car, and just have the right one. The really nice cars will always hold the money and they'll always fetch the money. So that's a collector quality car. That needs nothing other than you to stick it in your garage. Now, you know the rules. It wouldn't be a Manor Park Classic sale without a Jaguar XJ6 Convertible. I think it is actually a legal requirement that we have one in every sale now. And this one's very nice. Have you noticed two things? Number one, that the XJS is suddenly becoming very popular. Thank you, Chris Harris, for making them really cool. And thank you, Fergus Walkinshaw, for making them really cool again. Everybody's talking about the XJS. I think it's a good time to buy one. And also, I have noticed that every Jaguar owner in the South, they love a Leaper. Look, it is the home of the Leaper. The white XJ's got one. This has got one. I've got some more lovely Jaguars for you in a minute. They've all got them too. They do love a Leaper in the South. That's what I'm learning. 46,000 miles on this one. Very good on the bodywork. Engines are 4, gearboxes are 4, electricals are 4. You can see there's a bit to do. There's some value to add, shall we say, inside. It's got an absolutely crazy wood veneer finish on the dash. That's rather groovy. Bit of leather work to do there. Good description on this. 9 previous owners in 35 years. The ultra low 46,000 miles that checks out. As far as we can tell, going through the paperwork, that looks good. It's been maintained by the vendor on a no expense spared basis. We always like to read that. And it is, of course, a V12. It's got a 6-disc auto changer, which ages both me and the car. And it is nice. I think you would definitely want to get that leather sorted out because the rest of the car is good enough to justify it. The paint is really good. I do like this system. Let us know if you'd like to see that in MPC North. So we've got this new star system down here, which is new to me, but I like it very much. So marks out of 5 for each of the elements of the car. If you think we should have that on our descriptions in the north, let me know in the comments. I think it's quite a cool, ready reckoning way of looking at it. Yeah, so a very nice presentable car with a bit of leather work to do that you can smoke around in the summer. You haven't got any paint work to do, which is good because you think of the acreage of paint on an XJS. That's a lot of money, a lot of money. What would you pay for that? Somewhere between 10 and 12. I think you'd be very happy if you did. Now this is so cool. There's probably a few of you out there, I am one of them, that would like a Lotus Cortina. Problem is, they're quite expensive, aren't they? So you're probably not going to be able to afford a real one, I can't. But how about a tribute, a Lotus Mark I Cortina tribute? So all the fun of the fair, all of the look, I'd imagine in steel rather than aluminium, but it's a lot less. So this is really a resto mod, because if you look inside, got some modernist seats. Come around and have a look in there. It smells very petrol-y, which I love. So this is a 65 Cortina Mark I Lotus, white and green, very good on the body, paintworks are 4, engines are 5, transmissions are 5, but all is not what it seems. There'll be loads of ways to do this. Try and get a Lotus twin cam, which would have been very expensive, but this has actually got a 2-litre Z-Tech in it, rolling road tested in 2023 to 160 horsepower. It's got a Z-Tech flywheel, twin 40 Delautos, Piper cam, Recaro front seats, motor litre wheel. I could be here all day going through this spec sheet. It's an entire page. So go onto the website. If you like this, don't forget a really nice Lotus Cortina is the thick end of 100 grand now. You're going to buy this for a quarter of that. It's probably a lot faster than a Lotus Cortina. You won't be quite so precious about it. And also if you dink a wing, it won't be the price of a house to replace. I like that a lot. Do have a look. The history, the story, everything behind it on the build is very cool. Not for the purists, but you could argue that at least it's got a Ford engine in. Ford engine from the wrong era, but 200 odd horsepower, that's all you need to know. Again, a car I've always wanted to own, but I've never owned. How about 1955 Citroen, I can't even say it, traction Avant. There's a little tiny little bubble on the roof, just to let you know that, which is a shame because the paint's really nice. So registered in 1955, this one. The bodywork is very good. All I can really fault on it, there's a paint bubble there, which being flat black, you will be able to just flat that out and fill and blow that in. It's recently restored, it's been brought back to life by the vendor. It's running and driving really well. There's a full picture file that we've got for this car and invoices for £16,000. £16,000 over the last 5 years. That is extraordinary. Now, same as we do in the north, we've got videos of all of these cars if you want to have a little walk around with a little bit more detail. And of course, in between now and Saturday morning, if you would like to see any more detail, if you want us to email you any more pictures, if you want to have someone walk through the file with you, please, that's what we're here for, make it easier. 14 to 17 grand you could buy that for. If you've never driven a traction Avant, I would hardly recommend that you do. If you've never owned one, I would doubly recommend that you do. They drive not like a 50s car, they drive like a 70s car, really. They obviously have a charm and an antiquity to them, but what Citroen did with this car is so far ahead, and as the name suggests, if you don't know, traction Avant means front-wheel drive, so you have modern dynamics, really. The cars do handle much more like a modern car than a classic car. I like that a lot. It really is very nice. I think it's probably 200-300 quid away from being exceptionally nice. Or just leave it as it is. It's had a lot of money spent on it. Just enjoy it. Get a nice agreed valuation on there and go out and enjoy it. Now, the Reliant Scimitar GTE, the car that we know a certain royal member of family had, everyone knows those, the hatchback, the Tom Caron car. But what about the one that went before, the Ogle designed SC4, which I actually prefer. We've got a Mustang coming in a minute. A lot of people love the Mustang fastbacks, and I do, but I prefer a Mustang notchback. And today's potentially unpopular opinion is I think the SE4 is a better looking car than the GTE. I think it's got a nicer proportion. Rare car, you never see them, but that said, we've got two. So this is lot 101, 1966 Reliant Scimitar SE4, guided at 728. I'm going to be super honest with you because I know you like me to be. The paint is going to need a lot of love. If you're buying this, if you are a painter, my word, this is your car because it's really good. Obviously it's fiberglass, so it's not going to go rusty, but the chassis is half decent. It does need a full paint. Straight 6, rebodied Sabre 6, this one. Car number 78. Let me get the door for you so you can have a look inside. Have a look in there. So it's had an interesting life, this one. 2 previous registrations, all detailed, going back to the owners, to the old green style logbook. It's got the flare arches on the back because it's got an SE5 axle, which I think the car might have had a bit of motorsport. We think, going back through the history, if you look at this here, these are not the standard arches. Someone's gone a bit Carlos Fandango on the back. But it's there, it's really nice, honest, legitimate, original looking thing that you will have to paint, and that's not a cheap thing to do on this, but I do think if that's the value that you can add, if you are the painter or your mate is, you could buy that for not a lot. 7 to 9 would buy you that, and as you'll see in a minute, because we're about to find a really tidy, immaculate one a little bit further into the sale, I think that's a wonderful way to get cracking. What a great project car. Great thing about plastic cars is they're not rotten. So you've got obviously paintwork to do, priming. You're going to have to do some micro blistering on this, but there's going to be no welding. That's what I love about that. A classic car stalwart, a car that everybody loves, the car you always promise yourself. And of course it's come back into the parlance, hasn't it? Because Ford has re-released the Capri as an EV. What are you doing, lads? Honestly, it doesn't look as good as this, does it? This is a 1981 Ford Capri. It's cute, I love it. 59,000 miles on this. It's just a GL, this one. So it's not the fastest one they ever made, but you could argue it's one of the prettiest. It's a 1600, so yes, you can get out and run faster. But when you look this good, does it really matter? You've got an MOT at present, so it doesn't need one, but the previous owner has done it. What I will say is, if you come and have a look around here, she is just starting to need a little bit of metal. You are certainly going to have to do a headlamps around. You're certainly going to have to put bonnet repair panel in there. Little bit, it's such a pretty car, but buy this again knowing that you're just going to have to do a stitch in time. If you get it early, it's not going to be an expensive repair to do this, because all of this can just be panelled. It's easy enough to do. It's probably gone on the inside as well. But I think the car is pretty enough and also inexpensive enough. It's only guided at 3.7 to 4.5, which if you know your Capris, where the top of the market's 30 odd, cheap car. But the interior is lovely. It's also got a sticky door. So we'll maybe look at that one another time. Old cars, don't you love them? Now we have a lot of Jaguars. I understand that's because here in the south, as well as being lovely people, they do like the Jaguars. There's a very active owners club, and because of that, we've got a lot of them here. Also, Tony, any of you that have been coming to Barron's for a long time know Tony, the gaffer here. He's a Jag man, and he knows a lot of Jag people. This is lovely, isn't it? 1959 Jaguar Mark II. Just achingly pretty. This, to me, is the simplicity of the earlier cars. They're so clean. Beautiful, beautiful car, this one. Guided at 18 to 21, which I think is almost criminally cheap. And you can come and have a look inside this one because the interior is beautiful. Do come and see. Look at this. Paint is very good on this. The team has guided the paint as a 4. And squeeze through there, so come around there and into there. The wood is very nice on this, the cappings are all good. What would you like to know? So 59, all the early car features, so you've got the recessed sun visors, the pendant throttle on this as well, the smooth painted centre dash, right hand indicator, all that kind of stuff. It's only the 398th made as a 2.4, but this one's actually been upgraded to a 3.8. It is lovely. Spent a life in South Africa. I was thinking, why is the body shell on this car so good? Because it's been in the heat, that's why. We did a Mark II on the show. Well, actually, technically, we did a 340 on the show for all you Jaguar pedants out there. And what is really interesting is that car also spent its life in a hot overseas country as a right-hand drive car. And I do think that has a fantastic way to buy them. So it's a British spec car, it's lived in the heat, and then it's come back to the UK. It's absolutely superb on the body. If you've ever restored one of these, they are hideous in terms of all the panel work you have to do and the expense that entails. This is clearly obviously on a very, very good shell. Very little corrosion that I can see at all on that, but do come and satisfy yourself. But as I say, 18 to 21, a known car within the club. And of course, it has a leafer. Of course it has a leaper. Now this What was I saying about notchback cars and how I prefer them in many ways? 1966 Ford Mustang. Lee Iacocca's genius creation that basically made people think differently about the sports car. 1966 Mustang notch, 62,000 miles with a set of American racing wheels on, which could not be better for me. It's very good. The paintwork is pretty decent on this. The team has scored the paint of 4. I would concur. A couple of very minor fisheyes, and I'm being super, super picky now. Tiny bit of pigment discoloration on the boot. It's level. Look at the interior as well. It is a really nice car. I think the notchbacks are better value than the fastbacks. I really do. Offered for sale, imported 4 years ago, and garage kept when not in use. Good all-round condition. It's got 2 bubbles on the rear arches. Inside, it's got a lovely interior, and it's just very well finished. Not concours car, but very, very close. A few minor imperfections, but to me, this is the perfect condition, because if you have it too nice, if it's absolutely concours perfect, I guarantee you would never use it. Whereas if you take this to any car show, any car meet, and people would look at it and go, do you know what, that is beautiful. It's been really well done, really well kept, and obviously clearly well maintained. And like I say, 20 to 23. That's all you're going to pay for that. If you buy your cars by the foot, it's a bit of a bargain, isn't it, really? Another gorgeous Mark II 3.8 manual, this one, with overdrive. 16 to 19, so a little bit cheaper than the 59. It's not quite as perfect, but it is very, very good, this one. Let me give you some scores. They're saying bodywork is a 4, paintwork is a 4, engine is a 4. Interior, I have to say, is a joy. Come and look at this, look. You've got the old English white coachwork, and then you've got this amazing oxblood interior, which is such a good combination. It works really well. There you go, have a look at that. Can you imagine yourself piling to a car show, flicking through the gears, enjoying the working overdrive, I hasten to add. Car's done 98,000, which I would probably suggest is legitimate. So the interior is very good. The leather, they are leather, not vinyl seats in there. Chrome's very good. It's just had a new clutch master cylinder and a new slave cylinder. The brakes have been overhauled with a new master and a servo. And also all the brake calipers have been looked at as well. Do you know what? That's nice. It's got a very nice underneath, says my team. So have a look underneath. We've got some great pictures of how decent it is. All cars look good on top in an auction, don't they? But it's underneath, particularly in an old Jag, you want to check. Do have a look if you're interested in that. Paint, I think, would really benefit from just a little cut and flat to make it absolutely perfect, because the car justifies that. You won't be spending a lot. As I say, 16 to 19 will get you into that, and you'll have an awful lot of fun. I tell you what, 2 white Jags and an XJ convertible, you could start your own classic wedding hire company this weekend. I'm sure we could do a deal on fees if you bought all 3 at once. Now these, I think, are potentially one of the bargain of sports cars of our time. Everyone raves, quite rightly, about the Mazda MX-5. Everyone forgets about the Z3, which is about the same kind of money, if anything. The BMW is a little bit cheaper. Very well made and put together. I bought Mrs. Cowland the 2.8 manual at our Manor Park North sale a few auctions ago, and it really opened my eyes to what a brilliant car these are. Beautifully put together. This is the baby engine, this one, but this one's only done 41,000 miles. We've guided it at 3 to 4. If you are looking for a bit of cheap summer fun that will start, run, is as reliable as a Mazda, but dare I say, a little bit more badge prestige. Great gearbox, because don't forget this is just bits of E30 and E36 underneath. Super service history, black cloth interior, electric windows, central locking, 3 keys, and an MOT till November. What more do you need? It is so clean. It's a really lovely car. Even just like the wheel rim edges, it's super clean. I'm trying to find something to fault it on for you. I'm struggling. Tiny little fisheye in the paint there. There you go, that's being super pedantic. That is nice. Great summer blaster. Also, if you're looking for your first classic that's not going to break the bank to buy, should be half sensible to insure, there's a great spares backup for. That's your car. Look at that, absolutely fantastic. Not that rare, but in that condition, very much so. In that mileage, incredibly so. But here's a super rare car, mainly because they didn't sell that many of them. 2002 Lexus SC430. Really interesting car, this one. Lexus sort of bombed a bit with this, but actually they're now getting a little bit of a cult following. People are realizing they're a very interesting vehicle. It's a Lexus. They're beautifully made. The quality, the fit, everything, the quality of the electronics and the engine are superb on this. This one, as I say, 2002, 124,000 miles. Why do you want this car? Well, apart from the aforementioned build quality, which is phenomenal, they're a wafter. If you're just looking to get around town and have a real nice waft in the sunshine with the roof down, there you go. Being super observant, there's a few little marks on the paint here. There are a few dents in the bonnet. There's a little bit of a paint imperfection. Your dent man would make this look so much better. There's a big dent there. It looks like something's just hit it, either in the garage or as it's followed the vehicle. There's a couple at the top of the bonnet. That's 300-400 quid's worth of dent man to make it absolutely perfect. Get it super detailed and you'd have a mint car, but what this car is not is expensive. They were when they were new. My word, they were expensive, which is why they didn't sell that many. And the styling, which was very divisive at the time, has actually kind of come good. I think they've almost grown into their skin, these. 3 to 4.5 grand. To get that Japanese reliability, very exclusive, very unusual, super wafter, great engine of course as well. And an MOT until June. So just jump in and drive away. Moving on to a fish and chips classic. We love fish and chips classic cars like the Mini, the Beetle, the Morris Minor, because they're a great way to get into classics. Brilliant owners club scene, amazing spare scene. You could run this with a spoon and a piece of string. And the spares for this are just not a lot. Beautiful little car, this one. The other thing interestingly about Morris Minors, they're actually getting less expensive, believe it or not, because almost the market is slightly moving down. They're softening. They're in what's called a bear market. The prices are getting a little bit softer every year, which means you can get a much nicer car for the same amount of cash. This one's lovely, 1969, mine 1,000. It's got 26,000 miles showing, which I would imagine is since its restoration. Scoring very high on bodywork, 4 on bodywork, 4 on paintwork, 4 on engine as well. It's just really pretty. I do love a two-door. I think they're the nicest of all of them. It's got a particularly nice interior if you want to come and have a look at that. Look at those seats. I would wager they are not original seats because they look far too late on the runners. But what they do look is much more comfortable than the standard car. So I like it. It's been restored over the last 5 years to a very high standard. Used to be used on a regular basis. But sadly, our vendors got back and hip problems, which means that you can get the benefits of all their hard work and money. Now, it shows as a Category D insurance loss. The thing about Cat D cars is it can often be for something really, really small. Cat D in the old classification scheme was for quite minor things, if you'll pardon the pun. So it could be something like a wing and a door damage, and then all of a sudden the car's written off. So please just be aware of that. It just means that the vehicle was damaged but repairable. And it didn't take a lot. When these cars are at the bottom of their value curve, you could write a car off for £1,000 worth of damage. But do have a look. It's been beautifully done. It's not going to be a lot of money, as I say, 4.5 to 5.5 grand, and the paint is lovely. If you want a car that wherever you go, people smile at you, people let you out of junctions, people talk to you at petrol stations, because everyone's got a Morris Minor story. Just look at that face. How can you not love that face? 4.5 to 5.5, you could be the owner. Now, I get very excited about 90s and noughties classics at the moment because they're just so usable. I always bang on in my Manor Park North videos about the fact that if you are paying, as so many of us are or were, £300, £400, £500 a month on a lease to drive around in something new, my question to you is why? Because something like this, for £3,000 to £4,000, you could buy this 2003 BMW 320i SE Convertible. And look at it. First of all, it's E46, which I think is one of the prettiest 3 Series they ever did. It's done 65,000 miles. It's decent. It could probably benefit from a little paint correction. It's just wash marks. You can just see where the sponge has been. Tiny, tiny swirls. That'll all correct beautifully that well. So 4 on the body, 4 on the paint. The interior is very good. Actual minimal bolster wear on the driver's side. Passenger seat's perfect. Rear seat's perfect on this as well. It's blue hood on this one as well. Recent MOT and all service, and it's what I really like though is the mileage at 65,000 and the fact it's just had front pads and calipers as well. So I guess it's probably had discs as well. It's got MOTs, it's got receipts, it's got 2 keys. It's just a lovely way to waft about, isn't it? Isn't it a nice car? It's nice as well to find one that's not been absolutely monstered. It's Mr. Stephen Ashworth, our director. He's walking across. It's his building. He's allowed to do that. You can come through. You can see it's busy. We're all here. The team's here, setting up new AV, putting in wonderful new things. It's a great venue, this, but we're going to try and make it even nicer. We're going to put some swanky new toilets in for you as well. If you've been coming here for a few years, keep coming, because we're going to make it better every time you come. That I like very much indeed. That would be just a great way to waft around. And like I say, don't spend tens of thousands on lease payments. Buy yourself a 3-4 grand, low mileage, well serviced, early noughties BMW, and beat the system and get a tan at the same time. Or maybe you'd like to do it in this. Very price rangey XK8, and I don't think they'll be around for much longer. Great car, £4,000 to £6,000 on this. Paintwork is really quite decent. We've had a lot of people actually today. It's our first viewing day down here in the south. We've had a lot of people come to look at this car today. So this car has been started about 5 times this morning. Sounds beautiful, absolutely beautiful. 90,000 miles on that. Again, what can I tell you? The paint's good. It's sitting down a little bit low at the front, as they often do. So just get that checked out if you come to have a look at it. Only 90,000 miles, backed up by the DVLA MOT history, a brand new MOT until January 2026. My kind of vendor that just says, you know what, my car's half decent, I'll whack a mott on it before I stick it in. What's the leather like? Let's have a look at that together. A little bit of crazing and cracking on the bolster, as you kind of expect. It's the first of their XK 4.2s, this one. Paintwork is decent. You could definitely get some value into the car by doing a little bit of painting and recolonizing on the leather, because the car would, I think, very much justify that. But this is good value. This is £4,000 to £6,000. And it's hard to find a decent XK. It's had some paint on the boot. Let's have a look. It's had a little bit of paint on the boot. Slight mismatch there. Lacquer's quite decent. Again, a couple of little dents and tiny marks on the boot. A little bit of lacquer discoloration there. I am being pedantic. It's a £4,000 to £6,000 XK, but one that, again, if you want to make it perfect, you could, but why bother? Buy it for what it is. Relatively inexpensive Jag that you will just have an enormous amount of fun in the summer. Now, this gentleman's going to stand next to this DAX, so I'm about to film this. You're very welcome to stay there, but you will be in the video. No. Yeah, I might have to speak to your agent about that. Now, this is fun. The DAX is a kit car I know quite a bit about. So DAX became ultimately XCS. It's a very, very good, very well engineered Cobra replica, this. But quite interesting for lots of reasons. One, obviously the quality. The body shells that DAX did were very, very good. Nice square tube chassis. But what you might see on this is this bonnet bulge. And you think, wait a minute, that's not how a normal Cobra would sit. Because what we've got here is almost the equivalent of a Japanese LS motor. Everyone fits Chevys in these normally, but let me turn those around. Look at that. It's got a Lexus motor, Lexus V8. In fact, and here's the man himself. You're going to start it up? So I won't just give you a visual, we'll give you a soundtrack. There you go. If you are buying a Cobra, 2 things. Make sure it's a good engine. Make sure it's a good kit. And I say 3 things, actually. Make sure it's on good tyres. This one's on Contis all the way around. You know what I think about people who put good tyres on cars are good people. And it's a manual. I'd be surprised if it wasn't. A lot of people fitted Rover V8s to these. A lot of people put LSs in the later builds. I've got a lot of love for this Lexus V8. It's a very, very dependable, very strong engine. Not too leery, not too loud. Can you get in there all right, Tony? Have a listen to this. Go on, when you're ready, son, when you're ready. Sounds nice, doesn't it? Not too much. Now they're repackable silencers. There you go. If that sounds like a bit of you, I do like these wheels as well. It's like a Halibran replica. What would you pay for that? £17,000 to £19,000. There's a lot of ways you can register these. You can put them through the IVA. This is an older kit, this one. It's a 1993. It is on a Q. So just to make sure that you've seen that, because obviously Q cars are a little bit more to insure than those that are registered through IVA process. Do come and satisfy yourself. It's been done to a lovely standard, and I very much like that Lexus motor. Something a bit different, I think, that one. How about 1989 BMW 635 CSI. If you're a body kit enthusiast like I am, what do you want to see? You want to see that it's a Highline. It's a Highline. Just look at it. Again, it's one of those things, it's a Marmite thing. I absolutely adore cars with factory body kits on. The Highline, to me, epitomises late 80s. The stick in the skirt kits on, they look much chunkier. They looked a lot more visually impressive, to me anyway. You might like the early cars, the early pure Paul Brack shape. I think the more skirts they got, the better they looked. And also, if you look at cars like the BMW 325, the M-Technic cars, they're always worth more. This one's done 206,000, so she's a leggy old girl, but she wears it very, very well. Paint's half decent, I have to say. It looks very, very good in terms of corrosion. And let me open up that door for you so you can have a look inside. It really is very nice inside too. Now, the nice thing, being a slightly higher mileage, is going to make this quite affordable because these can be easily into the 30s. A Highline in this condition with a low mileage would be a very, very expensive car. But you are getting the benefit of the higher mileage, taking some of the value away. And let me tell you, whoever ticked all the options on this car when they were buying it did well. So you've got the Cinnabar red that you can see, full leather with electric sport seats, electric tilt and slide roof, rear window blinds, it's got the Highline chrome kit, the memory seats, rear head restraints, headlight wash wipe, aircon, monster spec. Absolute monster spec. So don't be put off by the mileage because it's got lovely history with it as well. It's got a no expense spared. It's got some aftermarket wheels, which I don't dislike at all. They really suit it. They're not genuine, but they look right. New brake hoses recently, a ton of bills. If you are seriously interested in this car, please do go through, have a look. I think you'll be quite impressed. Right, what is the most fun track car you can buy for not daft amounts of money? And so I don't think I gave you a price on that. 12 to 14. 12 to 14 on that one. Moving on to this rather lovely Lotus Elise R Tour Plus, this one. We've spoken about the Elise before. We've had them in at Manor Park North. Nothing touches them, really, for the money. Handling, they're not outrageously fast in a straight line. They're between 2 points on a map. They are the most entertaining way to get there. And of course, they are biblically good on track. There's not much touches a well-driven Elise. This one's done 86,000 miles. So again, we're talking very price rangey here. This is a car that's been used, enjoyed, maintained. What else can I tell you? 86,000 miles, one owner from new. The touring pack, which is very nice because you've got a little bit more soundproofing in that. It's got the Toyota engine, which will go on long after we've all gone, and 12 stamps in the service book that shows up to 66,000 miles. So it might be ready to have another service. But can you see yourself in that? I like the fact that it's not immaculate. It's very, very tidy and well presented and wears its miles incredibly well. But someone has used this and enjoyed it, exactly what it should be used for. There's a lot to be said as well, you know, folks. For cars like this that actually get used service, they actually always drive better. They always drive better than the cars that just gets laid up as a collector's piece. So not only do you buy the car for less money, it's probably going to give you less trouble. I would say that is a phenomenal way to do your next track day or your next European tour. There's sort of a tiny, tiny bit of luggage space at the front by your feet. They're not practical. Moving on to this, as you can see, it's very popular. This 1967 Jaguar S Type. We've got some nice Mark IIs that you've seen. Or would you prefer the S Type? It's very elegant, beautiful colour. If you want to come and have a look inside, the interior is gorgeous as well. Have a look at this. You can see these gentlemen are checking it out. They quite fancy it. Wood is in gorgeous condition. The team has given it a 4 on bodywork, a 4 on paintwork, a 4 on engine. It's very, very clean interior. That's obviously been redone to a very nice standard. And the wood is very good. It's got overdrive. It's an older restoration that was done a long time ago. And again, I love that. I love cars that have sat in their paintwork and restoration for a long time because you know what you're getting. You know that what it is what it appears to be. Any car that's just been restored can look good. A car that's been restored a longer time ago and still looks good is worth having. You can just see, look, the top of the dash is just starting to blister up. So give yourself a bit of money. I can give you some great walnut people that can do that for you. The paint I like very much indeed, I have to say. It's an older paint job. You can just see there's a few tiny little imperfections coming through. A couple of very tiny micro blisters. I would not touch it. I'll just leave it as it is. A little bit of lack appeal just on the suede there. What's it going to cost? 12 to 14 grand. If you've ever tried to restore one of these, you'll know it costs a lot more than that. I like that a lot. More Jags. What do we know about all the Jags that you buy from the south? LEPA is a legal requirement if you live on the south coast, because this one has one too. There you go. That's if you see a car with a LEPA, you know it's a Southern Jag. 1960, this beautiful Mark II. 18,000 showing, I would guess, since its rebuild and restoration work. And just a lovely thing. What gearbox does she have? She's a Manor Overdrive. 18,000 miles since the rebuild. Been upgraded with period Coombe style mod. So there you go, look. I always like this. I think this is such a great mod. If you don't know what that means, on the early Mark IIs, you've got this big spat that sits over here. And Coombs, when they were racing them, used to take those off and put the lip on instead, which I think just looks much cooler. A lot more sort of hot roddy. It's got Luminishen, Optronic ignition, it's a positive earth, and the overdrive works. Great history file, pictures of the resto, and old MOTs. Also, it is MOT'd, which you don't have to. It's actually MOT'd till 2026 on this. But it's getting a big thumbs up for me just because of the Coombs arches. I like the fact it's got the wrap steering wheel as well. So this would have been like the gentleman racer's car. If you want to take something to Goodwood Revival and look like you've just escaped off the track, take this. Grant Williams, if you haven't seen Grant Williams racing at Goodwood Revival, always sideways, always at full power, always in a plume of tyre smoke. He's got those Coombs arches at the back. They just look so good. That will be 16 to 19. I love it. It's got the louver bonnet as well, which just looks hot rod. It's just so subtle, isn't it? Little things, but people who know Jaguars will look at you and go, yes. Goodwood friendly manual. Now, cars that are criminally cheap, but not for long, it can't last. 3.2S Boxsters. Forget all the jokes about hairdressers' cars. The only people that make hairdressers' jokes about Porsche Boxsters have never driven one because they are sublime, particularly in 3.2, particularly in 3.2 manual spec. This will cost you somewhere between £4,000 and £5,000. I defy you at that money to get anything that has that provenance, looks as good, can be as reliable if you maintain it, or is as much fun to drive on track or on the road as this. 96,000 miles, got really nice spec, metallic black, black embossed leather as well. The 96,000 miles is all borne out by great history. 2 keys, handbook pack, very, very good history with 17 service entries and a long MOT. But buy it because it's on factory splits and it's a manual. Because normally, if you're buying an inexpensive Boxster, it's not going to be a 3.2 and it's probably going to be an Automagic. This is all of the right things. Splits, manual, black, 3.2, £4,000 to £5,000. Have more fun than that for that money. I defy you. Right, moving on. If you thought the last SC4 was good, this is tidy. Really tidy, actually. Very, very nice. This doesn't really need much at all. And you see what I mean about a really nicely sorted one of these, I think is more desirable than a GTE, just because they look so good. If you can come around and have a look at the shape of these, oval design, absolutely killing it. And again, a really rare car. This is 16 to 19 this because the paintwork is so lovely. You do not have to spend any money painting this one. The team have given it a 5 for body, a 5 for paint, a 5 for engine, and a 4 for history. This is scoring ever so high. Do have a look at the online description of this. It's number 173. The current vendor is a collector and purchased the vehicle from an active club member, so it's well known in the club. It's had a ton of work. This colour, which I adore, is an MGA colour. I thought I'd seen it somewhere before. That was over £8,000 to do it. The interior is largely original. That's in gorgeous condition. Loads of old MOTs, loads of photos, and just a bit different. I love all Reliants anyway. I do particularly like these. I do, just something, it's got the X factor. Do you know what I mean? I can't define what it is. Something about the colour, how it sits, the wheels, the fact the interior is original. A proper 60s GT. Very nice indeed. Now, do you have a small holding? I do. But I'm like a tractor. How about this? 1951 Ferguson TEA 20. Now, if you can't quite afford a Lamborghini tractor or a Porsche tractor, which everybody in the car collecting world seems to be doing at the moment, how about a lovely Ferguson? The nice thing is if you're 16, you can drive this on the road. Mileage doesn't really matter. Great condition, previously restored and converted to 12 volt, which makes it a little bit easier if it goes flat. Registered as historic vehicle, and it can be used on the road tax-free. So there you go. If you want to join in all the current farmers' protests, buy your own tractor. It's not going to cost you a lot of money either. 1,400 to 2,200. You could drive it home in theory. It'd be a very long drive. Or maybe you actually want to till the land. Maybe you want to do a bit of ploughing or hoeing. If you're looking for some hoe action in your life, this is where you come. This is the vehicle you want. As I say, 1,400 to 2,200. If you are a classic tractor collector, I used to like tractors. Yeah, I'm an ex-tractor fan. So moving on to this, we've had a lot of interest in this. This is a Grande Classe wagon, or a G-Wagon, as you might know it. And I like this very much because it's in that perfect sweet spot where it's old enough to be quite price rangey, but young enough to still look like the current model. It also has an astonishing service history, this car, because very recently this was actually in the Mercedes approved used car scheme. We're only talking 24 months ago. This was actually bought as an approved used car, and there was a bill getting the car ready internally at the Mercedes-Benz dealer of £6,500. They have a very stringent used car scheme, particularly if you're looking at something as chunky as a G-Wagon. It's a lot of prep in one of these badges, there really is. Yeah, so £6,500 spent 2 years ago internally at Mercedes. As a retail customer, that would have been about 10 grand to you to do that. This vehicle's only done 36,000 miles. The history is astonishing. It's got dealer specialist books as well, fully stamp booked. All the actual invoices are present. These are a brilliant vehicle if you look after them. If you take care of them and spend the money, you want to make sure you've got the invoices and the provenance for that. This has all of that. What would you pay for this? You know what the new ones are. They're hundreds of thousands of pounds. This, which to me has all of the presents, put a personal reg on. If you don't know the subtle changes that the G-Wagon has, this could be any year from the last 15 years. That's going to cost you somewhere between 47 and 52. It's a great way to get involved. That's Turney, look, why speak to the customer when you can shout across the room? Why do that? You see, it's bustling already. Viewers are here, customers are here, people want to come and see what we've got to sell. This is nice, isn't it? 1960 Lambretta TV175. We've sold a few of these up north, and we always do well with these. We always love these. Were you a Vespa or were you a Lambretta owner? Very nice condition, rare bike to find. It's had a full restoration over the last few years. It runs well, it starts well. It's got a few little marks, bits and pieces on it. She's very clean and tidy, but not concours. If you want to show one, you could probably do a little bit of work over a few weekends to make it perfect. But I think what this is a great example of is one that you might want to ride. We have a lot of these that just spend a time in a collection and they look nice, they never get used. I think you could use that one. Does need a new registration plate. The old one's with a history, but it's in poor condition. The tyres look brand new. Even got the little side pips on if you look. You've got the hairs on the tyres. So she is ready to go. What would you spend on that? £5,000 to £6,500 you'd buy that one for. Now, again, this is where Steve Berry would be salivating and telling you how he was on the launch of this and how many wheelies he pulled. The Suzuki GSX 1300 RX. That is a big old bus. If you want to go very, very quickly, this is the way to do it. What's absolutely bonkers about these late 90s Suzukis and all these big superbikes, I mean, the Hayabusa obviously entered the lexicon, even as non-bikers like me. We all know what a Hayabusa is. We know it's phenomenally fast. It's got the speed hump on the back seat. I mean, these are supercar performance, and you'll buy this bike for somewhere between £2,750 and £3,250. Part of a private collection, it runs, it's in good condition, it's seen little use. But despite that, and again, what a lovely vendor, this bike has a brand new MOT to 2026. So for £3,000, go and spank pretty much any supercar that you care to, and it's even got an MOT, so that's one less thing for you to worry about. This is very pretty, isn't it? 1973. This is the same age as me, believe it or not, wearing slightly better than me. £3,000 to £4,000. This XS650. Reduced reserve on this as well. Flat tracker, 1973. It was restored as a flat tracker to a really high standard. And it, again, has been lightly used. You're getting the message with these motorbikes. They get restored, loads of money gets spent on them. Then people don't ride them. This one does start beautifully. It rides really well. It's in lovely condition. Again, still got hairs on the tyres, look. You can still see those down there. Mileage showing is 16,000 and the MOT shows 15,000 in 2015 and 15,000 in 2012. It's not been written, basically. Lots of paperwork with that if you want to have a look. What's it going to cost you? 3 to 4, that one. Now, these are pretty. I like these. FZS Yamaha Phaser. Great looking bike, these. 32,000 miles. Great example, very quick. And of course, it's like a partially faired bike, which I think looks really, really good. Apparently it rides very well, everything works. It's only being sold, can you guess why? Due to a lack of use, there you go. 1,000 miles in the last 5 years. MOT history confirms that as well. There's no history with the bike, so please bear that in mind when you're bidding. You're gonna have to come and have a look at the condition for yourself. But by all means, come on our viewing days, start it up, see if you're happy. 32,000 miles, I think, looks about right. So again, not perfect in terms of condition or history, but very presentable, incredibly usable, and potentially bargainous. 1,000 to 1,500 pounds. Cheap bike, and a lot of fun. Now this, I think, is one of the prettiest things for the money I've ever seen. I might have a cheeky bit of this myself. Isn't it gorgeous? 2001 CBR 600F. I adore this, not just the colour, but the fully faired look and everything about it. 20,000 miles, best colour, brand new MOT, starts on the button, runs sweetly. It's got the original service book with 5 stamps in it. It's also fitted with a Thatcham alarm. I am a huge fan of this period of Honda design. Couldn't be in a better colour for me. And yet, my friends, 1,200 to 1,500 pounds, you could have that sitting in your garage. They're just astonishing value, these, aren't they? I think, you know, that the bike prices down in the south are cheaper than they are in the north. I think these have been incredibly well estimated. Obviously, it's an auction. If you want to pay more, you can. It's not a problem. But I think there's some potential bike bargains to be had ahead of the season start here. But I think there's definitely some money to be made if you take that, clean it up and flip it. But who knows? All you need is 2 people fighting. Could we get a lot of money? 1977 Suzuki GT500 2-stroke. What a pretty thing that is. 15,000 miles showing on that. Really nice condition. And it's the last year of production for those. So it's got the electronic ignition, the front disc brake, the larger tank, the longer, wider seat. If you're a bike person, you'll know that. Been restored sympathetically. It's not over-restored, which I really like. Lots of original parts on that bike as well, including the silencers, the wheel rims, the mud guards. The frame's been refinished and the fuel tank's been done, but not too much, just enough, I think. Again, no history with that bike. It's got a V5C, the original owner's handbook, and a Pitman workshop manual. So old school 2-stroke stinker, that proper thing, 70s style, 70s character, kind of like end of an era. And what would you pay for that? 5 to 6 for that? Or would you prefer a 55 BSA Rocket Gold Star Tribute? So not a Gold Star, but very much built in the style of. So please bid knowing it's not the real deal. It's an evocation, as we say in the business. Outstanding condition though. If you're thinking on the screen, does it look that good in real life? Yes, it does. Because in 2019, £20,000 was spent on this bike for various works and efforts to get this Tribute looking absolutely spot on. And I think they've nailed it. High delivery, billet oil pump, anti-wet sump valve, magneto rebuild, gauges rebuild. All the oil leaks have been sorted and loads of receipts going all the way up to 2022, where it looks like a lot of work went into getting that car. There's receipts for nuts and bolts and washers, everything. Just whoever's restored this has just piled money into it. Money, no object. Beautiful, beautiful bike, that one. Or back to our other late 90s bargain machines. I am in love with this period of bikes, not only because they look so good to me anyway, they're so cheap. 1999 ZX 900, so a quick old stick. We've guided this at 1,250 to 1,800 quid. Again, from a private collection, a brand new MOT. Can we just hat tip all these beautiful Southern owners? Aren't they conscientious? They get everything right. And even on cheap bikes like this, they're MOTing them to make sure that you know there's no questions. Being described as very nice condition. I can't disagree with that. Well-stamped service book and last service last year. And there's an invoice for the service included in the history. So it's seen very little use, but it could be yours for, as I say, a bargain. You could ride that home for 1,500 quid. But I still haven't finished yet. I've got some more stuff outside. Right, holiday accommodation on the south coast is very expensive. You might know that. So how about this instead? Are you looking for a holiday villa in Southampton? You might have just found it. And it's no reserve as well, so you get to choose the price. Now, lots to love about this. I am obsessed with Bedford CFs. In fact, here's a fact for you. My first vehicle that I bought as a small child, we went, I think it was about 8ths or 10ths, as small children. I'm talking like we were 6 or 7. We bought a scrap one of these and turned it into our clubhouse. We always have a huge affinity for the Bedford CF. Yeah, I think it cost us 50 quid, 8 or 10 ways between a load of very small children. And we used to sit in the back, and it was called the Tiger Club. So if you fancy reenacting that with a bit more comfort, here you go. 1984, as you can see, there's some good bones there. A little bit of light surface corrosion and wing edge corrosion just starting to come through. I think all of this is eminently savable. So the 100,000 miles, this CF2. But what a great fixer-upper. And actually the fiberglass, the coach built bit that goes on top looks really good. I think all of this, if you look at the gutters, look, it is starting to go, but I think it's all catchable, and I think it's all catchable for not outrageous amounts of money. Look, that's mastic on the top. I think half of this has just been sitting. I think you could start to pull this apart. It's decent inside, and if we look through the window, can we look inside? Oh, it's locked, what a shame. There you go, you can kind of see through there. So you've got a lovely bit of seating, a kitchen, a wardrobe and bathroom area. Inside, the MOT ran out in April 23 and the vehicle had recorded 100,000 miles. There's old MOTs in there as well, various invoices for work. But don't forget, this is over 40 years old. So you've now suddenly got MOT free, everything free really. It's a historic vehicle. It's got a Tula canopy on the side. I think you could probably get that on the road and a little bit scruffy for a few £100 and then just go through bit by bit. But if you think about that, you take that to a classic commercial show, take it to a classic car show, it will fit in anywhere, and where everyone's in their cold, flimsy tent, you'll be in your Bedford CF. That I like very much. It's no reserve, you set the price, you tell me what you think that's worth. And moving on to this, how about a bit of cheap summer fun? 2011 Mini Cooper S. Again, still one of the most fun front-wheel drive packages for not daft amounts of money. This one's done 43,000. I absolutely love the colour. It's a manual car. As I say, it's a warranted 43,000 miles with 2 owners, metallic orange, black roof, charcoal half leather in here as well. It's got climate, start-stop, Bluetooth, telephone connect, all the modern things. What are we saying? Don't get the finance package, don't get the lease purchase. Buy yourself an inexpensive early noughties car that you can drive every single day. What would you pay for this? £4,000 to £5,000 you'd be taking this home in this great colour. There's a little bit of paint peel there, can you see? A little bit of paintwork rectification to do on the bonnet. But crikey guys, it's an inexpensive car. If you wanted to make it really nice, spend a bit of money refurbishing the alloys. And the interior is very, very nice. Just jolly good fun. Moving on to this, this is the potential bargain of the sale, particularly if you like fast road driving or track days. We're going to come to this. This is our star lot. We'll come to that at the end. But this, I have been spanked by one of these on every track day. It doesn't matter what I'm in, there's always a well-driven one of these absolutely decimating everything. Porsches, GTRs. These are phenomenal. Very good friend of mine, Darren, if you're watching, hello, will testify. This on the Nürburgring on a damp day, driven by someone that knows where they're going, will decimate all. It really will. Now this one will need a bit of work for the MOT. My advice is, because it doesn't tell me here what that is, have a look through the previous MOTs at what the advisories and failures were. It's probably going to give you a steer as to where it is. It's good on the body. Obviously plastic wings on the front. It's nice on the back arches. I don't think it's external corrosion. It might be underneath. Do have a look, because this car is 1,000 to 1,500 quid, which is criminally cheap for a Renault Sport 182 16 valve. Cannot stress enough, one of these when sorted, utter giant killer for £1,000 to 1,500 quid. I might even have a bid on that myself, because whatever it is, it can't be that bad. I mean, to be honest, don't do this, but you could split it for parts for more than that. Engine's probably worth that, to be fair. But best colour, potentially a brilliant track car to be made, cage it, have some fun with it, and just spank expensive cars. Got to be worth £1,000. Have a bid on that for £1,000. But say, pull the MOT history, see what it is. I'm going to have a look because I'm intrigued myself. Ford Mondeo GLX. When did you last see one of these? Again, a legal requirement for every sale that we have to have a Festival of the Unexceptional car in. Here she is. 1994, so it's an early one as well. It's very level, have to say. 89,000 miles. The rep's dream. If you were a photocopier salesman in 1994, this would have been your dream, the GLX. Metallic blue, blue cloth, one owner from new, 89,000 miles with an MOT last September with an oil and filter service, 2 keys. Look at it. It's so clean. There's a little dent there, dead easy to take out. It's so good on the body. So good on the body. We've estimated this at 2 to 2.5. That's criminally cheap. Look, original dealer sticker. Isn't it brilliant? Do you know what, guys? One of the cleanest I've seen. One of the cleanest I've seen. The arches are insane. The interior is like new. That's a cheap car, isn't it? We'll have to have a bid on that one as well. Are you impressed with all of these beautiful, inexpensive motor cars? That's the potential bargain of the sale. I do think you'll see that scrubbed up somewhere at a dealer's forecourt at a 4,995, even a 5,995. Actually, that's impressive. You could make that almost a concours car with very little money. And what did we say? 2,000 cars that you can buy for not a lot of money that you can use every single day and beat the system. How about this? 407 SW Sport HDI. So it's literally the Sportswagen estate. I don't think they're a bad looking car, these. 77,000 miles, black, manual, charcoal interior, 2 owners, and as I say, MOT till January 26 with 2 keys. It's just been unused for 3 years, which is a shame because it's really clean. So is this the most exciting car on the sale? Probably not. Is it a fantastic way to get to work for not a huge amount of money that will do really good MPG? Absolutely. New MOT, drives beautifully, everything works, all the buttons work. It does want the bonnet painting, to be fair. You want to make it really nice, but then for 1,250 quid to 2 grand, would you even bother? I think I'd just drive it to work. That's the ultimate commuter car, isn't it? So if you're looking for a vehicle just to drive, use, put a load of stuff in the back, give that a whirl. Right, moving on to play the angelic music, the incredible car that is this Ferrari. Here we go. The 458 Spider. Isn't it beautiful? So Spider obviously means removable top, as you can see. What's nice about the Spider is they made the roof really homogeneous as part of the overall design. So although this is a drop top car, I think it looks just as nice as the coupe. 62,000 miles on this, so it's going to be very, very price rangey. This has actually joined us from our friends who have a film in vehicles unit, so this might have even been used in something quite saucy as well. Fully stamped service book from Dick Lovett, their supplying dealer. It's been a driving experience car, which is the higher mileage, and it's just been serviced at Dick Lovett with a full health check, which is passed brilliantly. Excellent all round. You can buy these and spend a huge amount of money because they're low mileage. They're showroom queens. They've never done anything. This one has had a life, but it's been looked after beautifully. When you're working with a car like this, you cannot afford for it to ever go wrong. So people spend all the money to make them perfect. What would you pay for that? Somewhere between 95 and 110,000. It is the Star Lot. It is absolutely beautiful. Have a little shop around. Have a look at what they go for with low mileage and just enjoy the saving. So there you go. Thank you for watching my first walk around. They will get even better and more polished and produced as we go. Don't forget, same rules as in the north. You need to like and subscribe, ring that bell, make sure you're getting all of these nice and early, and make sure you've registered to bid. You can come and see us on the day, and I'd love it if you did. But if you can't, register to bid online, and you can bid over the phone or on the internet. Either way, there's some beautiful cars and bikes for you to buy. I hope I see you on the day. If not, I'll see you online. And thank you for watching.